This is actually exactly what the Patriots were expecting. Talked to a couple of Patriot sources earlier today. They thought there was very little chance Tom Brady would actually be on the field for the opener. They thought it would be a multi-game suspension, maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 games, and that's exactly what it is. The harshness of the penalties for the entire organization is a little bit surprising. It's $1 million, a first-round draft pick, and a future fourth-round draft pick.
A $1 million fine for the New England Patriots. A pair of draft choices are gone. Tom Brady has busted 4 games. In other words, a fine that is pocket change, draft choices a smart team can survive losing, and a legacy that, when looked at intelligently, likely won't suffer a single dent. Some insight, if you please. Our first guest, an old friend and media compatriot from those seasons spent in New England. He covers the Patriots and sports there for many years, and like no other, from WEEI.com, Mike Petraglia. And we're also joined by another veteran member of the sports media, an award-winning journalist, author of The Business and Politics of Sports. Evan Weiner joins the discourse. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today.
Good afternoon, Ed.
Well, Mike, I'm going to start with you because there used to be a joke in Boston that when the Red Sox couldn't win the World Series, people were going to jump off the Zakim Bridge if they didn't do it again, or if they couldn't get there. I take it no one is jumping off the bridge today in Boston?
No, nobody's jumping off the bridge. I think what you said in the open is pretty much accurate, except for the very last one. I think Tom Brady's legacy has taken a remarkably large hit, and I think he will always be stained a cheater because of an investigation that was very faulty, very poorly written, provided plenty of evidence, but never, in my humble opinion, never drew a straight line from point A to point B. And if you're going to take down Tom Brady, which essentially the Wells report does, then you have to be a lot stronger and a lot more definitive in drawing lines from point A to point B. Ted Wells did not do that. He accumulated a ton of evidence, Ed, but he did not do a good enough job, in my humble opinion, of showing that Tom Brady not only cheated, but was active in the process of trying to deflate the footballs, and I might add, deflate them below the 12.5 PSI threshold.
What about the thinking, though, Mike, that if he didn't draw the Wells report, go from point A to point B, as you indicate? And again, there is an awful lot of question. There's a lot of probables, maybes. It looks as if in there. But is it fair to say that he's really being punished here because he didn't want to cooperate with the NFL in the investigation? And that in itself is a lot greater than any evidence that might be missing.
Well, I agree, but then I would get into, and I'm sure Donald, you could do this much more articulately than I could. He would get into the point of what kind of cooperation did you want? We spent 5 to 6 hours with you. And then during his conference call today, for Ted Wells to say that Don Lee took copious notes, he ought to publish them and make them available if he's complaining that I didn't include it in my report. That's so amateurish and disingenuous because Ted Wells was paid to provide every piece of information he could get from relevant parties. And if you're asking me, is there any more relevant party in this investigation than Tom Brady? It was Ted Wells' job to include all of the testimony that he gathered, relevant or irrelevant, from the most relevant party in the investigation.
Evan, let me turn to you on this because a lot of the people that I have talked to in the last 24 hours, mostly fans and hearing from them as well, a lot of them are saying, wait a minute, Ray Rice gets hit for 4 games for beating up his wife in a hotel lobby or a hotel elevator, if you will. Tom Brady gets 4 games, though, gets twice as much for basically taking a couple of pounds of pressure out of a football. I know that that's apples and oranges in many ways, but there are still people who are wondering if the NFL really is serious about taking care of the serious issues like sexual abuse, like all these other various items that they have promised that they would take care of, and people still don't see them actually doing it. Is this just a pattern for the NFL that you've seen over the years?
Well, in terms of, it's a pattern I've seen because I was in New York when Lawrence Taylor was in New York, and I know that during the Lawrence Taylor years, they looked the other way. And I also do know one thing about Paul Tagliabue and the San Francisco 49ers. Eddie DiBartolo ended up getting thrown out of the league. But Carmen Policy, who ran the team for Eddie D, and Paul Tagliabue were really tight. And when salary cap issues were coming up, Paul somehow looked the other way in terms of that. So there's a pattern. It goes back a long, long time in the NFL.
But then why stop looking? Why not look the other way this time, Evan, if it's only a couple of pounds of air?
I think that there's a cumulative evidence against the Patriots and the Patriots way. And it started out with Christian Peter when Christian was drafted by Bill Parcells, and Bob Kraft's wife, Myra, refused for him to be on the team and threw him off the team. There's the Hartford thing with the Connecticut versus Massachusetts, where he pulled out of Hartford 2 days before he was going to pay a penalty. There was the whole way the Belichick thing came down with the Jets. And, of course, Belichick never signed a contract with the Jets, so he was a free agent. There's also the fact that they've hired all of these people who have spent time in jail, whether it was Corey Dillon, whether it was Dante Stallworth, who
well,
did
there's
time
also
in jail.
Aaron Hernandez, if you want to bring him into it, too,
I was
because
going to
Hernandez
get to
was
Aaron
actually
Hernandez.
no choir boy in Florida.
Yeah, and then, we got to Aaron Hernandez. And then the other thing is the spying, which went on in the NFL. I mean, I could tell you that George Allen hired this guy, Otto, to look around to make sure that Los Angeles Rams and Washington Redskins games back in the late 60s, or practices in the late 60s, were not videotaped, or they didn't have spies. But Al Davis used to rent a hotel room to watch the Kansas City Chiefs practice, because there was a hotel next to their practice field.
Well, let me stop you on
that.
that. Let me stop you on that for 1 second, Evan. Mike, I wanted to bring you in, but I know you just had something to add. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, if I can interject, I've killed Ted Wells pretty hard on the 243-page investigative document that he provided. But before Wells ever got involved in this case, it didn't need to get that far. This was an equipment violation that was systemic in the Patriots organization. There were rules in place to enforce. Within 3 to 4 days after Bob Kravitz broke the story on the Sunday night of the AFC Championship game, Roger Goodell, if he were an active, involved commissioner with the operations of the league, not just a salesman and a brilliant marketer, but if he were actually involved in the day-to-day operations of the league and had a pulse on the league, like Paul Tagliabue before him and obviously many others, he could have easily stepped in and said, hey, look, the balls that you used, your responsibility, they were grotesquely
okay.
underweight.
Mike, I know exactly what you're saying, but I only got about a minute left, and I want to get a quick comment from both of you on this then, Mike. Because of the Patriot way then, was this the NFL going after the Patriots because of their systemic cheating and the problems, and they decided that they were going to take them down and do something no matter what? They were going to target the Patriots and Brady.
I wrote that this morning, and I said, this is payback. Payback for 2007, payback for not coming clean, payback for not providing the tapes back in 2007 that the Patriots said never existed and somehow went missing. This is payback, and they decided to pick on an equipment violations to really go nuclear on the Patriots. That's what I really think this boils down to.
Evan, 30 seconds. Do you agree with that the league could be that petty, but also target somebody and be ready and go after them like that?
Oh, yeah. The NFL is a very vindictive league. I covered the USFL-NFL trial back in 1986. I could tell you all kinds of stories. There's a cumulative effect here. There are a lot of things that have happened over the years. Hey, they couldn't punish the Patriots for Aaron Hernandez. There's nothing Kraft did. But a little thing, which is as pedestrian as jaywalking, they pick up Tom Brady. And this whole thing could have been avoided. Just don't give the teams the balls before the games.
There you go. And there's the end of the day right there. All you have to do is just control the equipment and you wouldn't have this problem. But gentlemen, we've opened up that Pandora's box that deserves to be opened about the NFL making the Patriots pay for a lot of years of cheating. Evan Weiner, Mike Petraglia, WEEI.com. Great having you both on the air. Thanks so much, gentlemen. We'll talk to you again.
See you soon.
Got it.
All right, everybody, take care. The show that questions everything, MidPoint, continues.